Police officers arrive and find Tashika Askin's deceased.
As patrol officers secure the scene, homicide detectives arrive.
At that time, there was a lot of chaos at the apartment complex. Family members were starting to show up.
I just remember running up to her building.
Inside the apartment, detectives go to work.
On the center of her forehead, there was an obvious large wound. She had a really obvious split lip. She just had marks and abrasions all throughout her face.
Maybe she was beat to death.
Maybe not.
I checked the whites of her eyes, which I immediately noticed petechiae, which
When the blood flow gets cut off, it shows up in little spots, blood spots in your eyes, and Tashika showed signs in both of her eyes. But unfortunately, that didn't happen for her.
Who was responsible for this savage attack on Tashika? Hoping for answers, detectives turn to the man who made the 911 call, her ex-boyfriend, Alonza.
he's pretty distraught on the scene.
Sir, I realize this is a difficult time for you, but I'm gonna need you to come down to the station with us and give us your statement.
We wanted to talk to him more about the situation that we had and what he knew.
Alonza leaves their son with Tashika's family and accompanies detectives back to the station. At first, the culprit's identity seems crystal clear.
The evidence that is being brought to us points right at her boyfriend.
Everything's there, the means, opportunity, motive.
But as investigators dig into the case, they realize that there's more to the story.
There's unknown DNA commingled with hers.
The answer to that question will prove far more complicated than any.
There began a little bit of a discrepancy in somebody's story. The timeline wasn't shaping up to be the same.
Back at the station, detectives have begun questioning Tashika's ex-boyfriend, Alonza Dennis.
Alonza Dennis was noticeably upset, but cooperative.
All right, so when did you last speak to Tashika?
Spoke with her the night before at 7. She promised she'd pick up my son from my mom's house at 11 the next day.
Oh my God.
And then what?
And then I ran outside and called 911.
You didn't check on her?
No.
He advised that he did not want his son to see his mother lying in the floor like she was.
Alonza's story seems plausible to detectives, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's true.
How would you describe your relationship with Tashika?
We weren't in a relationship, but we got along.
Did you have any involvement with Tashika's death?
What? No way.
Alonza not only denied having any.
When I asked for a DNA sample, he more than willingly gave it to me.
We also get his fingerprints completed, and they were sent off.
You think of anyone who would want to harm Tashika?
No, I can't think of it. Everyone likes her, but I think you should talk to her best friend, Anna. She knows her a lot better.
Detectives let Alonza go and begin following up on the information he's given them, starting with his alibi.
The detectives called Alonza's new girlfriend, Rachel Jennings, to see if her story matched his.
She verifies that Mr. Dennis was there at her residence.
Rachel told detectives that she and Alonza went to bed around midnight, and then he left to go back to his mother's house the next morning.
But before the analysis of Alonza's DNA is complete, another potential suspect will be thrown into the mix. Less than 24 hours into investigating the murder of Tashika Askins, detectives have questioned one potential suspect, Tashika's ex-boyfriend, Alonza Dennis. Detectives track down Anna at work and bring her in for questioning.
Sorry for your loss. I know you two were close.
Yeah, she was my best friend.
Can you tell us if Tashika was seeing anyone romantically?
Anna told detectives that Tashika had recently started going out with a man named Anthony Reed.
Did you happen to have a number for Anthony?
Yeah. But y'all don't think he could have done it, right?
After speaking to Anna, detectives bring Anthony Reed in for an interview.
You're aware of what happened to Tashika?
Yeah, actually. It's crazy. I still can't believe it.
Mr. Reed was very calm, was 100% on board with helping us.
He said he had been talking to Tashika for almost a month. They have gone out on several dates, and nothing was sexual between them.
Nothing.
I mean, I wanted to, but we just never got to it.
When was the last time you seen her?
Like a couple days ago, I say June 5th.
He's able to replay his final days in speaking with Tashika, gives us a little bit of intel about Tashika the day before she was killed, what she was doing. He was supposed to see her that evening.
You were supposed to see her.
Yes, sir. But it never happened.
Anthony said he talked to Tashika earlier in the afternoon and had made tentative arrangements to stop by her apartments.
He requested us to come to his mother's house. He had found something. And we go around to his mother's house, and he immediately just hands me a computer-generated letter. Alonzo's sister had found the letter within Alonzo's son's bottle bag. I opened it up, and it's something to the effect of, "I'm gonna get you, you're gonna die," and it was signed, "Your friend, Q."
No one seemed to know who this mysterious Q was or how the letter got into the diaper bag.
As detectives digest this unusual piece of evidence, they get another call. This time from Tashika's most recent love interest, Anthony Reed. Anthony tells them that he just remembered something else, a piece of information that could lead investigators to Tashika's killer. The cryptic, threatening letter, a mysterious person banging at her door. For detectives, the question of who killed Tashika Askins is getting more complicated by the minute.
At this point, investigators are stumped. They don't know who really came to her door that night.
The following morning, investigators receive the results of Tashika's autopsy.
The medical examiner concluded that she had died from blunt force trauma as well as strangulation.
But it was her estimated time of death that actually intrigued the investigators.
According to the medical examiner, she died early the morning of June 7th.
It fell within the window of time he said he was asleep, which was a very flimsy alibi.
Adding to the suspicion surrounding Alonza is the unusual letter that his sister supposedly found in Alonza's son's bottle bag.
The letter was processed, and it was totally clean of anything of evidentiary value.
Police believe the letter was intentionally put in the diaper bag to misdirect the investigation so that Alonzo wouldn't be implicated in this crime.
But that's not the only thing that casts a cloud of suspicion over Alonza. With evidence mounting, detectives bring Alonza in for another round of questioning.
We got Alonzo in, and when I asked him about the mysterious scratches, he literally looked surprised. Me?
We asked for consent to view his body for any scratches or marks, at which time he took off his t-shirt.
The small of his back, he had a scratch right at the waistline. And it was a pretty good long scratch. And then under his right bicep, there was another scratch. When we asked him about it, what really made it worse, he just could not give an explanation for any of the injuries.
Gotta be honest, you're really starting to look like you're involved on this.
No. No.
You willing to prove it?
We offered him to take a polygraph. Help yourself out. And he flat out denied.
Despite Alonza's sudden refusal to cooperate, detectives don't have enough to make an arrest. At least not yet.
The detectives decided it was time to circle back to the evidence they'd collected at the scene.
The orange juice container came back with 2 prints, Tashika's prints, and another unknown print.
They never came back to Alonzo Dennis.
It was entered into the state police database. There was no match at that point.
Still, the fact that Alonza's fingerprints aren't a match isn't enough to rule him out as a suspect.
Rather than fingerprints, detectives believed that DNA found under Tashika's fingernails would identify her killer.
Of course, DNA evidence, it's not like the movies. It takes some time for DNA to come back.
While they wait for the DNA results, detectives reach out to Tashika's friends in hopes of learning more about her relationship with Alonza.
Tashika's friends and family believe that although he was dating a new woman, Alonza was still a bit too clingy and jealous, especially once Tashika started seeing Anthony Reed.
I did mention that he had some issues with her dating Anthony.
Alonzo was trying to come back into her life He was texting her and calling her, and she did not want anything to do with him.
2005, 2 months after Alonzo's arrest, the case takes a stunning turn.
The DNA results come back, and to everyone's surprise, they do not match Alonzo Dennis.
And it wasn't Taishika's blood on Alonzo's clothing either. Detectives are just as dismayed by the prospect of starting over.
They conduct DNA samples on any and everyone in Taishika's life.
We had to bank on the forensic evidence and hope that something would come back for us.
But still, they get no hits.
Finally, in September of 2005, detectives catch the break they'd been waiting for.
September the 14th of 2005, we got a phone call from the State Police Crime Lab indicating they had a match on the fingerprint.
They were put in the system, and that's how the fingerprint hit came back.
The result sends detectives scrambling.
We're trying to figure out who Richard Blanks is and how he ties to Taishika.
His name never came up throughout the whole entire investigation.
However, when detectives start digging, they soon uncover a connection to Taishika. To learn more about Richard Blank's connection to Taishika, detectives again turn to Anna Brown.
Are you still seeing Richard?
No. We broke up.
There was some domestic violence issues between Anna and Mr. Blanks.
But he did know Taishika though, right?
Yeah.
They would all hang out together. Taishika would actually come over to Anna's and Richard's residence some Sundays.
Did he ever go to her place?
I can't really say.
You don't know?
No, I can't say.
She basically didn't want to tell us anything. I believe it was just fear of Mr. Blanks.
However, what Anna Brown has told detectives is enough for them to press the case against Richard Blanks.
We obtained a search and seizure warrant for a DNA sample from Mr. Blanks.
We got the fingerprints on the orange juice container. We need to see if we can match his DNA up with what's underneath the fingernails of Taishika Askins.
After obtaining the warrant for a DNA sample, detectives bring Richard Blanks in for questioning.
So what's this about?
We're investigating the murder of Taishika Askins.
Taishika?
Mm-hmm.
Anna's friend?
We expected some resistance, and basically he was cooperating 100%.
In fact, Richard is so cooperative that detectives wonder if they've got the wrong guy.
I started to have my doubts as to whether he was going to turn out to be a good suspect.
We did not want what happened with Alonzo happen again.
September 14th, 2005. Detectives in Cambridge, Maryland have identified a new suspect in the 2004 murder of single mother Taishika Askins. But when detectives tell Richard Blanks they have a warrant for his DNA, their suspicions immediately deepen.
A switch went off. Mr. Blanks became hostile, yelling, cursing.
Hey, hold up. Hell no, you ain't taking my DNA. You ain't taking.
When he refused that DNA sample, that's when the hair starts to stand up on the back of your neck.
Not that Richard can refuse to submit a sample.
No. We have a court order. We are going to get this done one way or another.
After collecting the DNA sample, detectives inform Richard that he's free to go.
He was shocked that we let him walk out, but we want to make sure that we've got our guy.
13 days later, detectives get their answer.
We get the call saying, he's your guy. That's his DNA profile under Taishika's fingernails. It's gold. It doesn't get any better than that.
Night of Taishika's murder.
He said that Anna received a call on her cell phone, and he overheard part of the conversation.
Hello? Hey, what's up? No. Don't tell him where I'm at.
We pieced that together to say that Mr. Blanks was at Taishika's residence trying to find Anna because he knew that she was out with somebody else. There was a lot of fear as far as with Anna. She was scared to talk to us.